now, you hear the word story a lot when it comes to marketing and it comes to people talking about your business. Well, what's your story? And so essentially this book kind of talks about these things. So if you go to the first slide, basically what we're going to do in this book is I teach you to use what I call the operating energies of the right brain to think like an author, a designer, a scriptwriter, and an artist for stronger referrals and greater business success. Now, if you think about it, authors, designers, scriptwriters, and artists are not always the highest paid members of our society. But, next one, they change how you view the world. When you think about it, when you go see a movie, when you listen to a song, these are the things that impact and influence your life, whether it's subconscious or consciously. And so what I want to do is I want you to become shift your world of pharmaceutical sales or accounting or insurance or whatever you're in. Okay, because what's happened is, and we've seen this, how many of you did great during the recession? Awesome. That's fantastic, Lori. That's awesome. Most of us did not, okay? And what happens is we've come out of a recession now. Now, in times of prosperity, what happens is people a lot smarter than us create things to automate our businesses. Okay, think about TurboTax when it comes to accountants. Okay? So they create these things, and then what happens in times of scarcity, like what we just went through, we have commoditization, where basically everybody goes into your market, they flood the market with lower price using these tools that probably they created during the automation phase, and then they pull you out of business. Okay, so I'm going to teach you to think a little differently, and that's what this book's about. So what you want to do is you want to transcend. If it's all about price, which is what happens down here, if it's all about price, then what you want to do is you want to basically create something that transcends price. So they can't get from anyone else what they get from you. Okay, make sense? Okay, so what we're going to talk about today is I'm going to talk about ethics. And I'm going to give you a little story. About 2 years ago, I was looking for an insurance company. I'm sure there's a lot of insurance people in this room. So I did find who I was looking for, at least thankfully. But give me your card anyway. And I sat down and a guy handed me his business card. And I looked at it, and it was a text-based logo. Now, as a graphic designer, I really appreciate, and I'm the type of person that looks at fonts when everybody else is looking at, I'm looking at how a commercial is structured, everybody else is just laughing. And so I took a look at his business card, and it's got this text-based logo, and it's really attractive. And I said, man, that's a great logo. And he looks at me, and he rolls his eyes, and for 5 minutes, he tells me about the experience he had with the design company he worked with. And it was misinformation, poor business practices, lying, all sorts of stuff, okay? And so what happened in that situation is he got the product, looked great. The problem is that he will never give that company another dime because of the experience that they had. So what happened is it was great design and bad ethics. Okay, now what do I mean by ethics? If you think about it for a second, when we talk about ethics, we might think, okay, this is like your morality or something like that kind of bleeds over into your business. So maybe, you see people that put fish on their business cards or something. Well, that's part of their morality or whatever. Ethics is different. Ethics essentially, well, let's talk about this first. 85% of these are Fortune 500 companies. Okay, 85% of Fortune 500 companies have mission statements. How many of you have a mission statement in your company? How many of you have a personal mission statement? Awesome, that's fantastic. This is an awesome group, Lori. Okay, 54% of Fortune 500 companies have vision statements. How many of you have a vision statement? Fantastic. 20%, less than 20% have purpose statements. Anybody got a purpose statement? And that's big businesses. Okay, but have you crafted and honed your company's ethics? Next slide. Ethics are business standards that set parameters, establish non-negotiables, and produce verifiable success metrics. These are the things that basically you say about your business that you will not deviate from, so that when somebody experiences your business, you already know how you're framing the story around them. See how we're bringing this kind of into this understanding? When it comes to script writing, you create a genre out of your script, and this is a script you don't deviate from. Okay? In the same manner, this is what ethics do. Next slide. Ethics determine your courses of action, which reflects on the way you treat your your customers, your vendors, your employees, and the world. Okay, next slide. Because ethics, what you describe as the parameters for your company, produce stories when people interact with your business, and those stories produce repeat customers. So for instance, if you're talking to somebody and let's say you're looking for an insurance person, and so you say to somebody, hey, I've got an insurance person, his name's John, you might want to give him a call. Or you say, I've got an insurance person, he's so great, he's got me so excited about my financial future, you have to call my insurance partner, John. See the difference between those two? Both are still an insurance person, but there was a difference in how that was created. Next slide. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit just right now about some of the ethics that we have in our company, and then I'm going to give you kind of some examples of how that works and what that's done for us as well. So the first ethic that we're about, and we have 10, but we're going to show you 4. The first ethic is we are not about the job, we are about the referral. Now most companies out there are about the job. They want to collect whatever it is, paycheck, or they want to collect the commission or whatever it ends up being, and they're on to the next thing. The problem with doing that is that you don't establish the relationship parameters in such a manner that people get excited and want to work with you again. So you just constantly go from job to job to job to job to job. When you're about the referral, now you're concerned with how is the relationship with that client? What are you doing with them? So the first thing I want you to do is I want you to get to know your clients really, really well. How many of you have more than 20 clients? Fantastic. Okay, if you have more than 20 clients, what you can do is you can take those clients out to lunch or dinner and you can interview them. And what you're going to find is certain things are going to come up depending on those clients. So you're going to have some symbiosis between certain things around all of your clients. And then you're going to be able to use those situations and circumstances and what they say and craft a greater story around your operation. Okay? Because everybody kind of has, inside your business, everybody kind of has a similar vibe or a similar understanding. And you're going to use those understandings. Okay? Next thing, go back down here. Okay? Then you're going to coordinate with your clients' schedules. How many of you actually ask your clients, hey, what does your week look like? How can I work with you in such a manner that it's seamless? Okay? Do you go to a soccer game every Thursday? Well, then I'm not going to call you from the hours of 2 to 5. Do you have this that you want to do? Do you not like to be interrupted during, the first couple hours of the day? All those things set up the opportunity for you to create a seamless environment with your company or with your client, because you want to understand, next slide, you want to understand their power and your ability to give them power. So our second ethic is if a client has to contact us about the status of a campaign, we've lost power. Now, power is not what happens on House of Cards. Okay, power is the ability to generate effective action. And everybody has their own unique understanding of what that effective action is in their life. So what you want to do is you want to figure out how can I create and build more power in the people that I work with. Okay? So we complete projects 2 to 3 days before our timetable. I always tell my client a certain time, and then I always complete the job 2 to 3 days earlier. That's just for us has been the parameters to see that they go, wow, this is always done effectively and on time. And I never want, one of our ethics too is I never want my company, a person to call my company to ask where something is. Because as soon as they pick up the phone and dial, you've lost power. They've lost power, which means you've lost power. And if you come into a situation where basically you say, oh, I'm really sorry this didn't get done on time, 2 things can happen. They're either going to renege on you and they're going to say, oh, it's okay, we'll get it next time. Or they're going to revoke on you. And if they revoke on you, you may not get that client back again. And every single time you have a bad experience or customer has a bad experience, they tell 16 other people about that bad experience. But they will go out of their way to tell people about a good experience as well. How many of you love that? How many of you, let's go back to kind of script writing. How many of you loved a movie and you can't wait to share it with somebody? Okay, I used to do the same thing. I'd bug the heck out of my sister, man. I'd go home and I'd go see a movie. 2 o'clock in the morning, I'd get home. My sister's 2 years younger than me. I'd wake her up. I'd tell her the entire movie and then I'd go to bed. She hated it, right? But I was excited about it. So in the same manner, that's what we want to do. Okay, next slide. Ethic number 3. Nothing goes out our door that can be broken apart or dissected through the programs it was created in. Now, for some of you, that's us. We're a graphic design company. So I don't want anything that we ever do to look like something that you could say, oh, that was created in Illustrator. Oh, that was created in X, Y, and Z. okay? But for some of the rest of you, that might be a way of saying, okay, before I finish this job, I'm thinking about how is my customer going to experience what I've done? How am I making sure that every I is dotted, every T is crossed? And the way we do that is I spend about 60% of my time on 95% of the work, and then I spend 40% on the last 5%. So I just sit there and tweak and tweak and tweak until everything is so perfect. And usually for me as a graphic designer, what happens is I'll stare at it for 10 minutes. And then I'll get off the computer, because my wife says to, stop staring at whatever I'm doing. I'll get off the computer. I'll get on a cell phone. I'll look at it for another 10 minutes. So that's how I know for me what something looks good. But for you, it's about the same thing. It's about being precise and being exact in everything that you do. Number 4. Ethic number 4. We are always going to be positive on the phone, at the office, and through our emails. Now, positivity is not just a state of mind, it's a practice. Okay? And for every one of you, the opportunity there is that you have the capacity to ruin a situation by not being positive with your clients. Okay? Now, all of us don't necessarily always want to be positive. But what I want you to do is I want you, every one of you, to create a character around who you are in your company using your best attributes, and then I want you to amplify that every single day. So if you're bubbly, be bubbly all the time. If you're if you're the type of person who likes to educate people, educate, give people books, do anything you can to try and educate. For me, it's inspiration, okay? And every email I end says live inspired. So I want to inspire the people that I'm with. So whether it's the book that I've got or the way that I talk to them on the phone, or I'm always trying to educate from an inspirational standpoint. And what happens for my company is people work with me and they tell, I hear it all the time. They go, they're such an inspiring company to work with. But it's all calculated. And I talk about it in this book. I call it your story genre. How do you craft your story genre? And then use that in every aspect of your operation. Okay, this is goofy, but it works like crazy. When you create an email, add exclamation marks. It sounds ridiculous, but people will respond to, they're like, you're so inspiring, you're so exciting to work with. Just add that one exclamation mark in every single email. I have people that I've never talked to on the phone that I just deal with over email, and they say the same thing. They're like, you're just such a great person to work with. You're so inspiring, and it's all because of that. So what I want you to do when you create an email to somebody, whatever it is, I want you to go back through before you send it, and I want you to go, is there anything in this that's negative? Is there anything in this that isn't just creating power for my customer? Okay? And then, like I said, get into a character at work. Next slide. All right, so your assignment, I'm just going to talk fast here, and then I'll take a couple questions if anybody has them. But your assignment is to take at least a week to a month and craft the 10 ethics for your company. Think about them as the 10 commandments for your business. And if you think about it from this standpoint, the 10 commandments were not meant to restrict and cordon off. They were meant to liberate. They were meant to give people an opportunity to operate inside of a framework that produced the most benefit, the most power, the most opportunity. Okay? So in the same way, that's what I want you to do, and be thinking about your clients and your customers in this process. And the next thing I want you to do is read this book, and then contact me, and I will help you accelerate your business to the next level. So what I focus on is design, story, and meaning out of your operation. And when I talk about design, design is not just art. Design is taking, like I just said, this is the second chapter in the book on design. And design is about being intentional about every aspect of your business. Okay? Story is about how you create the story you want to tell others about who you are. So when you're talking about a product, you're not selling a product, you're selling the story behind the product. And then you present your product. So the greatest things I ever learned was, what is this right here? It's a book, right? But if it's a windy day and I put this down on a couple pieces of paper like this, and it prevents those papers from blowing, it became a paperweight. Okay? The reality is, you don't sell the book, sell what the book serves as its purpose in that moment. So which means you got to know your clients so well that you know intricately what it is they need. You've already crafted the story, and the greatest thing you can do is sit with